Okay, da habe ich aus Versehen einen Cut gemacht. Ich wollte eigentlich saven, weil ich mir nicht sicher war. Aber das macht nichts, die Folge war lang genug. So. Die Frage war, die wir jetzt beantworten wollen: What piece of evidence corroborates your theory that the victim was stabbed from the outside of the hut? Und ich denke mal, es ist das. I guess.
Take that!
Well, I've presented it now. But I haven't the first idea why I choose this piece of evidence. Okay, dann ist es das nicht. Oder? Counsel, you're suggesting that this piece of evidence bears out how the victim was stabbed. It's something of a windfall, Your Excellency. I think the word you were looking for, Counsel, was downfall. Okay. Oh, das wollte ich gar nicht. Ups. Falscher Knopf gedrückt. Gerade ein bisschen lost. Crime scene photograph. No trace of poison was found on the blade.
Take that!
The original photographic print of the crime scene. Als ob es das wirklich war. Entschuldigung, ich war gerade kurz ruhig, aber ich hatte nachgedacht. Okay. Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. The trace of the fatal thrust that was delivered from outside the beach hut.
Objection!
Do you take us for fools? There's no hint of any such thing. I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone, at least, appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to. Counsel, once again, I must call on you to be explicit for the court. Where on this photograph is the trace of the stabbing, which you claim took place from outside the hut? Here?
Take that!
Look closely, just here. In the screen at the back of the hut, you can see the effects of a blade having been forced through the weeds. No, I can't! I can't see any such thing! It's true that the hut in question had 4 walls, as you'd expect. However, by parting the weeds, a knife blade could easily penetrate them. This is extraordinary! Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut. Ah! And of everyone present at the scene, there's only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Right, many Memo-san. It could only have been you. No!
Objection!
This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. Just look at the photograph again. The victim lies almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, does she not? Are we to assume, as part of this farcical scenario, that the assailant was a knife thrower?
Objection!
No, of course not. We are not? If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett. But she just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable. A stool? Have another look at the photograph. The slit in the weed screen would align perfectly with the back of a person who was sitting on that stool. My word! So, in fact, the victim was killed with sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the weed screen. Ah! Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively. But then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut, before the defendant, Membami-san's appalled eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day. Aber das lässt ja eine Sache aus. Warum hat Membami-san dann das Messer rausgezogen? Weil sie hat ja den Gifteffekt gesehen. Warum waren die Pupillen von Giselle Bouet dann so verkleinert, als ob sie vergiftet worden ist mit dem Gift? Das macht noch nicht so wirklich Sinn und ich denke, das wird gleich auch jemand herauspointen. By your silence, Manimemo-san, I take it that you don't deny the charge. This is absurd! That will do. It would appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter, which means that the defendant, Membami-san, is innocent of the crime. Oh, thank goodness. I finally made him cave. I must say, I've never been more proud. No, this can't be. The Alchemy clan can't. What of my growth? My growth of hope? It was not an apparition. I can't accept this. I won't. I see no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude proceedings by delivering my final verdict. Siehst du? There is not a contradiction. Ha ha ha! Well, this is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals. But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut, through the reed screen walls. And no one but you was in place at the time to have his hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction. So, your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the Englishwoman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now. Irrelevant? Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed. It doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference if you think about it. After all, this trial already shown the whole thing hinges on something else. Das Gift. What are you talking about? Brace yourself, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Because of the dirt you dug up. What? Enough obscurity. Explain yourself, witness. What's to explain? I'm talking about the poison, of course. The poison? Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand that the deadly poison you were developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? And it's been shown that this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Is that right? That is correct. The unusual constriction of the victim's pupils are a sure sign that this particular poison was used. I see. So, presumably that means that the victim already had the poison in her body, before she was stabbed. Ah! Given that the pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes. If she had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood. Haha! Ah, how refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely, it matters not just who stabbed whom and whose back and with whose blade. Because, quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison.
Objection!
But that can be explained by the poison being on the blade, as I already...
Objection!
Hahaha! Forgotten already, have we, Jocke? During these very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor at your side assisted in proving that the blade of the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever. So let me get this down. The facts, as skillfully established by the defense in this trial, turn out to be a headline-making red herring. Is that about right? Well... Ah! Well. Order. But where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? There's an undeniably obvious answer to that. The lady most likely imbibed it. Imbibed. Was ist denn imbibed? Imbibed. Angenommen. Aufgesaugt. Okay. You mean she drank it? Have another look at the photograph here. As you can see, a bottle of carbonated water and the glass had been knocked onto the sandy floor on the beach of the beach hut. Ah, okay, es ist wieder das carbonated water, also nicht der Traubensaft und auch nicht der Wein, okay. The poison could have been slipped into either. So somebody made Miss Brett drink it. Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This will make a great front page shot. Hey, why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It would make no sense at all that I poisoned the woman, would it? I mean, that's been established already.
Hold it!
Established? What are you talking about? Don't tell me you forgot. That's a little hard to believe, given that the person who established it was you. Me? What on earth does he mean? Oh, let me capture those wide eyes. This is prime press fodder. This is. It would seem that this trial is not destined to end after all. I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony. That's great, that is. Let me get a shot of that magnificent beard, Your Excellency. You claim it to be impossible that you were the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You will explain to the court in your testimony the basis upon which you make such a claim. I'm a journo and I'm a man. I've never tried to hide from anything in my life. And I'm not about to start now, because that's many memorism. For a brief moment, I thought I'd eliminated the truth, but it slipped right back into obscurity again. Just where is this trial going to take us? Okay, ich habe kurz ein To Be Continued erwartet, aber scheinbar nicht. Complete innocence. Oh yes, I stabbed the Englishwoman, and it's that very fact that proves I'm innocent. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I'd already poisoned her? When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, it got my goat. If the courts weren't going to punish Brett for what she did, someone else would have to see justice done. So, you admitted then, that everything happened as I described? That you are the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the weed screen? You can't blame this miserable country of ours. A country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free. What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it. I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do. Slap bang in the middle of the charming lady's back, I plunged the blade of sweet justice right in there. As someone who spends his life seeing that the truth is told, I feel really awful about giving false information in my testimony before. But as it turns out, there was somebody else who had it in for the victim and got to her before me. That's right, you guessed it. That pretty little student girl. Now there's a woman after my own heart. You are implicating Ray again. She is the one who gave the poison to the Englishwoman and ended her pitiful existence. And suddenly, snap, this journal here is off the hook. The argument is sound, certainly. If the witness had administered the poison himself, he need only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently, stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical. And therefore this reporter had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical. That's right, it is. Logical and true. I'm glad you've all seen the light. Justice at last! This is unbelievable. And after I'd made so much progress improving his skill, is he going to get away with it now? Think of Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san. They never stopped looking for a way forward under the judge's final gavel. Very well then, Counsel. Proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination in this trial. Whew, okay. Yes, Your Excellency. Cross-examination. Complete innocence. Oh yes, I stabbed the Englishwoman, and it's that very fact that proves I'm innocent.
Hold it!
So, you do admit that you had murderous intentions towards Miss Brett then? Ha! The woman's very existence offended my sense of justice. Your sense of... he's claiming some sort of righteous indignation. She was pure evil, a cold-blooded killer who committed murder right here on our empire's soil. But did our good-for-nothing government do anything? Not a chance. So I had to step in. Fly the flag of justice, put things right for the people. Yes, it was my civic duty, that's what drove me to do it. So, in summary, murderous intentions then. Whatever do you want to call it, the point is this. That Englishwoman was a blight. So I had to do what was right, for society. Yet the real wrong was done, by the student girl in the dock, a crime for which she must pay. Obviously, because the poisoning was nothing to do with me at all. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I'd already poisoned her?
Hold it!
So you still maintain that you didn't give the poison to the victim? Obviously, that'd be like putting a belt on your trousers when you were already wearing braces like these. The accused administered the poison, following which this witness stabbed the victim. An unforgivable act, certainly, but not one of murder. That crime rests on the accused's shoulders. That is how the law works. You see, Yokel? Who knows, you may even learn something here today. 2 consecutive attempts on her life in the space of minutes. Quite a day for the victim. Do something that evil, and you've got it coming. That's how the law works. The law of reckoning. That's not the kind of law this court upholds. You will reiterate why you were compelled to stab the victim then, witness. When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, it got me my goat.
Hold it!
What exactly were they arguing about? About what happened in that restaurant 9 months ago, that's what. The student girl was laying into the Englishwoman for killing her beloved mentor Dr. Wilson. Yes, John H. Wilson, the professor of medicine, invited here from England by Professor Mikotoba, no less. Right, but the Englishwoman just jeered. Her case was to be heard by the British Consular Court in Shanghai. However, there's little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman. It was eating the student girl up inside, you could see it. I really felt for her. Okay. I can't. I can't stand here and listen to this tribe. Wait! Young girl, you stand accused here. You can't just blurt out whenever you feel like it. No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen. But this awful man is making all of this up. Susato, please, you have to make them listen. Return to the dock at once, Membami-san. We are in the middle of a cross-examination.
Hold it!
Your Excellency, please, I implore you. That journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness. Exactly! He is a filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, great Peeping Tom. Was soll das denn jetzt heißen, Peeping Tom? Da fühle ich mich jetzt aber offended. Da fühle ich mich sehr offended. Peeping Tom. Voyeur. Peeping Tom heißt echt Voyeur bzw. Spanner? Ich glaub's ja nicht. Peeping Tom, Spanner, alles klar. Wow, take it easy there. Please, I really think the court should hear what the defendant has to say. Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused's remarks. I will grant the request of the defense. But, Your Excellency! This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, with recognizing that this contravenes regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak. Oh! Thank you so much, Your Excellency. Okay, könnte das der final blow sein? It was nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. We were discussing the stolen poison. Okay.
Hold it!
The stolen poison that killed the victim, you mean? I suspected her of being the one to steal it. I mean, just think about how she killed Dr. Wilson. That's true. Additionally, Miss Brett certainly had knowledge of the new poison. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if the thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. That's true. I pestered Professor Mikotoba until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited his laboratory. But as I left, I was searched from top to tail. Miss Brett rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we've been developing, you see? And since Soseki-san expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away, other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance. I'm very ashamed of myself. It's just that I've had a singularly terrible experience with a deadly poison. I wanted to look my old enemy in the eye. Surely you can understand that. To find out if my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her that if there were to be an incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't just be the university. The military would be dragged into it, the whole government even. It would be a complete disaster. And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns? She just curled those beautiful lips of hers and said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually. Ah yes, Manny Memo-san, one small question if you don't mind. I do mind. Can't you see I'm busy? Clearly you were outside the beach hut listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably then, it was you who wrote this article about what you'd heard. Exclusive. Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. The story was published in this morning's edition of the Shoyu News. The details are too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else. Sorry, don't know what you're talking about. Yes, look at this. The entire article is almost what I said to Miss Brett, word for word. Ah! Well, Manny Memo-san? As a journal, and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. That's the founding principle of many memorism. Father's clearly right about this. That reporter did write that article, and he based it on what he overheard from outside the hut. The details of the poison article have been updated in the court record. An article about poison that was stolen from a laboratory at Yuma University. The reporter, Manny Memo-san, based it on information he gleaned by eavesdropping. So that's what it was all about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with that stinking story about me arguing with her. Shut up! My stories never stink. Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say. and I wanted it to go on record. Very well, you may amend your formal testimony. The point is, if you'd poison someone, there'd be no reason to then go and stab the person as well. What's that you do? Okay.
Hold it!
Perhaps he doubted the efficacy of the poison and thought to make sure your victim would die. That's horse dung. What? That would be like pouring pepper on your Chinese ramen before you'd even taste it. Completely reckless. Although, it might surprise you to learn that I am a bit of an impetuous pepper pourer as it happens. Once the victim had taken the poison, she would have been only minutes away from death. And yet, this man then proceeded to stab her in the back as well. There has to have been a good reason for that. If it was a reporter who gave the poison to Miss Brett, then clearly, he must have done it prior to Ray entering the hut. Yes, that's undeniable. But between him leaving the hut and the victim being stabbed, there was one very crucial change in the situation. Sorry? What change? The reporter overheard the conversation between Ray and the Englishwoman. Ah, yes, that's it. That's when Manny Memo-san first found out the exact nature of the poison he'd used. Okay. The exact nature. That could be the key here. If the victim had unwittingly taken the poison already, the reporter would have had no reason to stab her. On the face of it, that logic sounds entirely reasonable. But there's no question that this man was responsible for Miss Brett's murder. If we could think of a plausible explanation as to why he might have stabbed her even after the poisoning, I feel sure that everything would drop into place. That's what we should be looking for. Yes, I agree, and in order to do that, I must try to glean more information.